I just want to hear everyone's kind of opinion on this thing, but do you think that men and women have the ability to have like platonic friendships? This is a little bit of a controversial idea, but we'll talk about some more Western stuff in a moment, but do you think, like, we'll go back this way this time, so we'll start with Lucas. Do you think it's possible for men and women to have platonic friendships? Is that something that's possible?
For me, it's no.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit, or?
Yes, for me, in the long term, I don't think that's possible.
Okay.
Because always, in my opinion, always gonna have interest in one of the parts.
Yeah.
Talk about sexuality and stuff. I think always one is gonna be attracted to the other one. So in the long term, that will probably not work. That's my opinion.
I'm going to disagree with Lucas and say I do think it is possible. So I was married for 12 years with my ex for 17, and I've had heaps of male friends through that time, particularly through work. And I've got fantastic mates now who I am definitely not going to sleep with, but who are really good friends. So, and I'm pretty sure they don't want to sleep with me, but who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, the same. Like, I think this possible. Like, do you have a lot of male friends which we have great friendship, and I don't think my part there's nothing there other than a cool friendship and someone that I could call and have a good catch up. And I find that having male friends is it's nice to see like some perspective sometimes from the male perspective without any sexual or anything like that, or they just say it to you how it is, and I just love that because I go like, tell me, be brutal, that's what I need right now, and they say it and I love it.
I think it is possible, but in my experience most friends I have probably started off with something, like there was some kind of tension, and then one person has said no, and then it's resulted in a friendship. But there's always something, in my experience, that it started with. Friendships with men, they're not the same, they're not as deep as friendships with my woman friends, because if I keep them maybe a little bit further away, that's what keeps it platonic for me.
Would that be platonic then if there's a sexual interest though? So this is the whole point, like, we can say that there's friendships, but are they truly platonic? Because I've done this before with somebody, and it's just funny because most women generally have this kind of idea, and I think it's true on their end. There's no sexual interest, absolutely, but on the male side, however, I don't know if you can say that. So, and look, it might be here and there on the female side too, but I've done this test, and there's a bunch of YouTube channels that are quite big on the internet doing this type of stuff where they go, all right, let's put that to the test. And go, call your best male friend right now and let's see what happens. And then they call them up and they go, oh, I'm feeling really horny tonight. And they kind of set them up a little bit, and they go, oh, they've been a friend for 10 years. There's no way. He doesn't want anything sexual. He doesn't want anything with me. But let's do this test. And they do the test, and like almost all of them are always going, is this a joke? Is this a joke? No, it's not a joke. I'm serious. All right, where are you?
Yeah.
And it's like, so like, I don't know if it's possible for men to have platonic relationships with men. Not with men, with women, because I think for the most part, men generally deal with women for sexual access or some sort of sexuality. I'm not saying that that's impossible. I'm not saying that it's completely untrue. I just think for the most part, there are some exceptions, like there's couples that are married, and even that, I think there's a lot of sexual tension in a lot of scenarios. So I don't even know if that's the scenario, but like some situations, work situations, particularly like somebody that has a different sexual orientation. You could have a gay best friend or something like that. But I think if you have two hetero people of the opposite sex, I think eventually something more than a platonic interaction is going to occur, whether they're married or partnered or not. Like, there's a lot of data on, like, intermarital relationships and things like that, and it's pretty equal on both sides. Like, so what's everyone? You had something to say?
Well, I was going to say, do you think that applies at all stages of life, or is that when you're single? Like, are you talking about two single people of opposite genders of, you know?
Nah, well, I'm talking more in like generalities. I'm going to talk more in generalities. I'm going to try to be as less specific as possible. I think in general, over like 98% of the time, when men and women interact and they're both hetero, the male side is always looking for sexual access. That's what I'm going to say. And again, you can look at a bunch of data and a bunch of different things like that. I don't think, and there are exceptions to the rule, but I think for the most part, that's what men are looking for. Now, what Grace said is, I think, is very accurate, is there will be some interest, and then you go, hey, wait a second, you're just a friend or whatever, and then that kind of closes it off, right? Mm-hmm. And then they're kind of like waiting there, hoping that it'll open up again or something else, but it's not platonic because there's a sexual interest. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that kind of?
I feel like my friendships are a lie. Like,
That made me
they're
think
just
of
hanging there waiting.
Yeah, it's almost like that. Yeah.
What if I do that? What if I do that test? Will
Yeah, you can, if you want, get your phone. We'll try it right now if you want. Like, I honestly would like. I think a lot of guys do that out of like fear of rejection and not wanting to be completely like, oh, but there's a hope, there's a potential, and it's like, in my opinion, it's better for them to find somebody that's actually interested in them. There's no point like trying to cling on to something that it was never going to eventuate to anything, whether it's sex or a relationship or whatever. I would say that like the way men and women go towards relationships is slightly different too. Like men generally try to start with sex, and then women try to start with more of an emotional connection. It eventually kind of collides in the middle somewhere, but at the beginning, like that's the starting point of like how men try to enter relationships or date in general. So yeah, I think you guys can, everyone has their opinion, and like I try to have my opinion based on a little bit of data and facts, but yeah, I would say this is my opinion. There's a bunch of other people that have that opinion too. There's a lot of people who have the opposite opinion. They think it's absolutely possible for people to have like that platonic kind of friendship. I don't see it. I think there's always some interest that's sexual, so therefore it's not actually platonic. But yeah, people get along and they get along fine. So.